Welcome to Ion Franchising, where you will learn the A to Z's of franchise. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another fabulous episode of Ion Franchising. This is Lance Graulich, your host, as usual. So today, a lot of people think that entrepreneurs are crazy or even mad, in fact. Well, this gentleman today is an incredibly special guest, a serial entrepreneur, spent his life in the food business, I guess a foodie of sorts. We'll find out. Certainly a visionary, and certainly he will be unleashing the madness across the nation. This is Michael Haith. He is the CEO and the owner of Teriyaki Madness. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
Michael, I'm excited to have you. You have got a hot brand. You've been at the helm as owner and CEO of Teriyaki Madness. How many years now? 10 years? 12 years?
Oh, gosh. 11 years.
11 years. Long time.
2016. Yeah, it's been a while.
Love it. So let's go way back in center field, so to speak. How did Michael get into franchising? How did Michael get into the restaurant business? Where did this all begin? I mean, most people don't grow up thinking they're going to get into the franchise world. So how did it all happen for you?
No, it started as a busboy at 15 years old as my first job in a restaurant in Denver, and went to college, did some waiting tables, always been in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
Franchising, boy, I became a franchisee when I was 28 years old of a little restaurant brand in Denver, and then bought into Maui Wowi as a franchisor partner.
So wait, I have to hear this. So you were in college. What were you in college for in the first place?
Oh yeah, my journalism degree. Don't use that very frequently.
So journalism degree, and so silly question. Your vision was to be a journalist, and somehow you enjoyed the restaurant business and decided to stay in that lane.
I graduated in 1984, which was a very long time ago, and there was a recession going on. So I actually had to take whatever job I could get, and my path led back to restaurants.
I love it. So when did you realize that you were good at that? You obviously liked it, and it was, I guess, the path of least resistance, because you had been doing it. You felt comfortable, right?
Yeah, I like working in restaurants. It's great for someone right out of college, young. It's fun. There's flexibility. I like food, but I actually like the business. And being around a bunch of other like-minded people is always fun.
Love it. So tell me a little more about Maui Wowi. How long did you do that, and how did you do that brand? I mean, did you acquired it or you created it? I don't recall.
Well, I partnered with the founder, Jill Summerhays. I saw that as it was one of the very first retail smoothies. It did special events, and I had a company that really did food and beverage for special events as a consulting management firm. And I saw the founders of Maui Wowi kind of roll their kiosk into the Utah Arts Festival, and they had lines for the entire event, and they were making 12 smoothies a minute and dumping money into plastic garbage bags as fast as they could. And I said, wow, that looks like a great idea. So I ended up partnering with them, and we ended up franchising it, ended up buying the company from the founders, or the majority of the company. And we built that thing to a global brand with hundreds and hundreds of units. And it was incredibly successful.
Love it. Love it. And then you parlayed that and moved on to what next?
Doc Popcorn, a brand out of Boulder. The founders approached me and said, hey, can you do the same thing that you did with Maui Wowi? And we really started doing small footprints in shopping malls. And it was all natural flavored popcorn, a terrific product. And we rode that horse for a little while. We built to 100 units within just a few years. And that one, I had Maui Wowi, I had that one. I actually was involved with a company called Raintree, which really helped develop young franchisors and showed them how to work and recruit young franchisees.
I'm a big fan of Raintree.
Raintree is a fantastic company. And boy, to fast forward a little foreshadowing, sold everything when I discovered Teriyaki Madness.
Love it. And how, tell that story on how you discovered that and how you got involved.
Yeah, I was approached by the founders to help them get out of Las Vegas. They had 7 units in Las Vegas. They were all incredibly successful. I told them, no, I've got a boatload of companies here. I have my hands full. And they said, the next time you're in Las Vegas, we'll buy you lunch. I had no idea what teriyaki was. So next time I was in Las Vegas for a conference, I stopped by, loved the food. It ticked off so many boxes, big bowls of food, healthy, but delicious. And I said, you know what? I love the product, but once again, too busy. They said, let's look at the P&Ls. Let's show you the financials. And I've never seen anything like that. So I said, okay, I'll invest in the company. I'll sit on the board of directors. And yeah, it went great for a few years. And as we really expanded out of Las Vegas and got some traction, the founders realized that they were better restaurateurs than they were franchisors, and I bought the company.
Love it. Love it. Well, Michael, so describe a little bit more specifically how you sum up what Teriyaki Madness is. It's obviously teriyaki bowls, it's healthy, but give your additional description of that for those that have never heard of Teriyaki Madness.
Well, so we're up to 130 shops. So I'm sure there's still a few folks who haven't heard of Teriyaki Madness.
Just a few.
Yeah, well, we're getting there. I don't have thousands, but you know what? Let's start with, it's delicious food that's healthy. I very much believe that we eat delicious food, and if we can get healthy in there, that's awesome. Yes. Versus, there's not that many. We go out, we talk about healthy, but we don't necessarily make it a habit. And that's what I liked about it, first and foremost. The second was that it's ethnic food. It's something that not everybody's doing. There was very little competition. There still is very little competition. But let's go to the business model. They had developed a business model of 16 to 1,800 square feet in strip malls. Mm-hmm. So it was very accessible real estate. The investment was relatively low. The business was simple, amazingly simple. It was just bowls of chicken teriyaki with some steak and tofu thrown in. And
which kind of rice would you like?
Hey, brown or white rice, fried rice or noodles. We have 85 ingredients. Yeah. Which when you look at most businesses, they have hundreds and hundreds of ingredients. So, I looked at the numbers and I looked at the business model, and it really was, okay, I am willing to go all in. When I did this, I was about 50 years old. I said, you know what? I think I've got one more in me if I really give it my all. Sold all my other businesses, dove in, and we decided, you know what? Let's build a strong foundation. Let's hire people who have a whole lot of experience in building franchise systems. And in Denver, for those who don't know, it's a fast casual mecca. Noodles, smash burger, Chipotle, a whole lot of folks have built fast casual franchises here. Yes. And there was a ton of talent. And they brought all of the processes and systems from these great brands to Teriyaki Madness, and we really focused on building a strong foundation and a great team. I really believe in technology in the restaurant business. Not everybody did. I think with COVID, they all realized that perhaps they needed more technology, but we had an app. We believed in third-party delivery. We believed in the Uber Eats of the world and the DoorDashes. And we were all set up, and we said, okay, we're now ready to work with some great franchisees who match our culture, want to build a community of collaboration and sharing, and let's go build together, and ready to go. And then COVID hit. And wow, But what happened was our technology and the app and the third-party delivery, we were ready for it. We had built it all for convenience and answering all of the questions and all of the needs of our customers. But COVID just fed right into us, and our shop soared 35% in sales.
Yeah.
and their dining rooms were closed. So, boy, we just kind of, I think Wayne Gretzky said he tries to skate to where the puck is going to be.
Yep.
We just got lucky. The puck met us right where we were going. And boy, the rest is history. And that's how we grew so quickly. And once again, we had a team. We've got 53 people here supporting 130 shops. So we're built for growth, and we were just ready for it. We got lucky.
That's awesome. So what is that investment? 1,600 square feet or so? What is that typical investment these days?
It ranges between a few $100,000 to, if you're in perhaps New York City or somewhere, it gets to about $650.
Gotcha. And I understand the new FDD, the franchise disclosure document, is out, and that updated item 19 is pretty nice. So what would you like to share on that? Obviously, results may vary, but the idea of the item 19 is it's a pretty nice history of making some money at Teriyaki Madness.
Well, I appreciate the disclaimer before I start speaking. Our top shop does $2.7 million out of 1,600 square feet. So, boy, you know what? And that franchisee works hard. He's opening a second, and he opened a second. He's opening his third. He's doing more. We believe in ROI. We don't need giant sales. We need giant profits. And if the franchisees are profitable, they're going to go ahead and expand and grow. And that's really what we believe is a kind of a cultural cornerstone for us. Transparency. In our FDD, our franchise disclosure document, we want there to be truth. We want the proper expectations for anybody who comes into our system to be realized. One thing that drives me crazy is salespeople who oversell. Yeah. And expectations aren't met. And then folks within a community or someone who buys something is bitterly disappointed. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So we're all about transparency, truth. We want to go ahead and provide as much information as we can.
I love it. And you alluded to the fact that you have quite a few franchisees that are now multi-unit or becoming multi-unit operators. As I was in the franchise restaurant business with Wingstop and Krispy Kreme donuts in the distant past, that was certainly a sure sign of health in the brand. How many people are willing to do it again and again and again and do more locations? So I applaud you for all of that. Let's talk about, you talked about technology. Talk about who you're really looking for. Who is Michael and team looking for? How do you know when you have the right franchisee? How much experience do they need? What experience do they need?
That's a great question. So our mission is to provide opportunity for folks to pursue the American dream of owning their own business. As corny as that sounds, the reason why we have so much staff is our folks need no experience. They need to have the financial resources so they aren't stretched too thin. We're not going to let people, as we say here in Colorado, get over the tips of their skis. Yeah. But we provide a tremendous amount of training and support and communication and resources so people can be successful. And what they need to have is they need to have work ethic. They need to understand that just because you buy a franchise business or any business, you're going to have to put in some hours. You got to focus on building a team, and that helps you reduce your hours, but that's not going to happen overnight. And you need to listen. You need to be coachable. You don't buy a franchise to go ahead and set your own direction. You buy a franchise so you can leverage all of the mistakes and the successes of the past. And at least here, we've got 20 something years of experiences and an operations manual that's super thick and a whole lot of people that will teach you how to execute and support you to success. Yeah. But that's, I think that's the key to everything is if we have the responsibility of allowing folks in with no business experience or no restaurant experience, we have the obligation to provide the resources to help them be successful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Absolutely fantastic. Now, obviously, hard work is the first major ingredient, and then you add in all of your support and great training. But you have owners that aren't terribly active. You have an opportunity where people can be a semi-absentee owner as well. Talk a little bit about that, or the Sherpa model.
We do. We, especially these multi-unit owners, once you get there and you've built the team and you know what you're doing, everyone has to spend some time understanding the business they just invested a bunch of money into building. Once they understand the business, they understand the rhythms of the business, they've built a team, then they can go into multi-unit. There has to be someone, even if you're an absentee owner, who knows what the heck they're doing in there.
Yeah.
What's interesting, and I say this quite a bit, a lot of folks want to be entrepreneurs. They want to own their own business. And why do they want? Typically, it's I want freedom. I want freedom to write my own ticket. I want freedom to work for myself and work really hard where I'm the beneficiary. They want to go ahead and spend time with their family, but you've got to earn that. You have to put the time in before you really can benefit from being an entrepreneur and investing. We talk about investment a lot around here. Is you've got to invest the time and the energy and the resources to get the right to be able to be an absentee owner.
I love it. That makes perfect sense. So if you're going to look at your top 10% of high performing franchisees that you're just super proud of at this moment, what do they look like and where did they come from? I'm always interested to know, are they any similarities other than they maybe just worked hard?
You asked the question earlier, what do we look for? We don't necessarily look for people with money. We don't look for folks who have experience. We look for attitude. Why are they looking to own their own business? The biggest question we ask is why now? Because we want to understand what their motivation is. And are they running towards something or away from something? Do they hate their boss? If you're calling us because you hate your boss, that's not good enough motivation for spending the rest of your life or the next 10 years of your life building a business. Yeah. If you're running towards something and you've always dreamed of owning your own business and you want a franchisor who's going to really help you accomplish that, that's what we're looking for. Folks who, I said it earlier, coachability is something that we really look for. Are you willing to listen to the experience that all of the team has and the other franchisees? One thing I haven't talked about is in a good franchise system, you've got franchisees who want you to be successful. The best resource in a franchise system are the other franchisees. It's not necessarily the franchisor. The franchisor provides all kinds of scale. They can provide technology. They can provide resource and development. They can provide buying power of the entire community. But the franchisees are the ones who are going to have the experience to walk you through the challenges, to walk you through the ideas and the best practices. And that's really the strength in any good franchise system, is a franchisor that facilitates communication amongst the franchisees.
I love it. This is you're dropping some great stuff here. Nothing mad about this. I mean, this is really great stuff, Michael. You know, I tell people all the time when I'm helping them pick out their brand and people are talking about the restaurant business, so many people think it's a sexy business. You know, they could feed their families, they can feed themselves or whatever it might be. And at the end of the day, you said it earlier, it's a lot of hard work. There's perishable goods. There's employees that maybe aren't that, skilled, that maybe can get a job down the street doing the same thing. So how do you help them? Let's talk about the training. What does the training entail to get these folks that maybe don't have any experience up to speed?
Well, let me say this. I think any business is hard. If you're really going to be successful at any business, it's just difficult. There's a learning curve, and there's the hours, and there's the mind share, and there's the anxiety, and there's the stress. I make it sound horrible, but there's a whole bunch of us who just
realistic, right?
It is realistic, and we embrace the challenge of doing that. Wow, I forgot your question. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, we were talking about just training, and we were just talking about being realistic and the training that people go through. We were talking about hiring as well.
Yeah, we do a lot of training on all aspects of the business. Making the food is the easy part. Servicing the customer, being present. How do you deal with certain situations with employees? How do you hire employees? Where do you find them? How do you identify stars? There's so much that's involved with running a business. And how can we, as a franchisor, provide that experience? And how can we communicate that experience? How can we reiterate that experience? We provide business coaches that come in upon request to help everybody look at their financials every single month to determine how they can make more money, to help them through some of the challenges that exist in running a business. So it's initial training. It's also follow-up training. We provide MadU, which is digital. And how do we use that technology where when you bring on a new employee, how do you train them? Here's all the resources that a good franchisor provides. And that coaching, because there's going to be things that don't exist in the operations manual and that no one's ever seen before. How can we as a team, how can the other franchisees, and how can the franchisor provide the support to overcome those issues?
Awesome. You had mentioned a lot of key ingredients, I think, that go into your secret sauce, the value proposition of Teriyaki Madness. I've heard that terminology thrown around. You want to talk about that value overall? I mean, I think we touched on some of it.
I think different people value different things. And how does a franchisor flex to meet the needs of someone who has a whole lot of experience, and like you have multiple wing stops or Krispy Kremes? Those are great brands, and I'm thank you for comparing us to some of those brands. We have to go ahead and provide the resources as a culture and a community to the entire group. I think that's one of the most important aspects of a franchisor. As candidates, franchisees, or people looking for a franchise, I think the most important thing is understanding the culture of that franchise and the culture of that community. Because if there isn't a cultural match, then boy, there's some friction there, and it doesn't make life happy for either the franchisee or the franchisor or the other franchisees. So we really focus on, does that person match our culture, and do they match our community? So as we go through our evaluation process, the last people to evaluate the candidate, someone who wants to join our community, are the franchisees. They're the most important part. They'll talk to me and I'll approve a candidate to go talk to the franchisees and use up a little bit of their valuable time. But if the franchisees give us a thumbs up, we know that we're on the right track.
I love it. That's brilliant. It also makes perfect sense. That collaboration you mentioned earlier, that's wonderful. So let's talk about some exciting news. I mean, look, you're the #1 fastest growing fast casual chain there is, and you got some exciting news with FranShares. You want to talk a little bit about that and what that's all about?
Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of our franchisees, the majority, are expanding into multiple units. They found the value of the brand and how they want to go ahead and continue to grow. That's our job as a franchisor. That tells us that we're doing a good job. People are profitable, they're happy, they like us, well, most of the time, and they like the community of the other franchisees. FranShares is just another funding source for us. It's a different way of doing things. They want to be equity partners with great franchisees who have proven themselves to be good business owners. It's our job as a franchisor to help our franchisees overcome some of the constraints. If they want to grow, and perhaps the interest rates have grown, the SBA has gotten a little bit more expensive, the banks are tightening up, especially recently. This is just another solution to some of those constraints our franchisees are experiencing. The nice thing is the franchisees who really want to grow, they can choose a few different ways to grow, whether it's debt financing through a bank or the SBA, or it's an equity finance through franchise. And what's really an ego boost for me is out of all the Lance, correct me if I'm wrong, what are the 3,000, 5,000 franchisors? There's
at least 4,000 plus for sure.
A gazillion of them. They chose two to work with their fund, and we're one of them. And that says volumes of the quality of our business model.
Yeah, I love it. No, that's really fantastic. And like you said, options are good. Whether franchisees want to expand through debt financing or equity financing, all great options. Let's go on to marketing a little bit. You touched on a little bit earlier. When you're a new franchisee, what is the secret sauce, so to speak, to getting off the ground quickly and efficiently, getting to break even and getting to make money with a Teriyaki Madness?
Well, there's an old saying in marketing is when there's stress on a business, the first thing people cut is the marketing budget. I've been around for a long time, and that is one of the biggest mistakes I see new franchisees or old franchisees make. Marketing shouldn't be, broadcast marketing in my mind is a dinosaur. You've got to be a pretty big brand to be doing broadcast marketing, that being television or even radio or print marketing. One can target your customer so directly through social media, through digital advertising, through influencers, through even direct mail is still applicable. We use all of that. So a good franchisor has not only a good way to spend the money, but they've got a voice that is different from everyone else. We talk about point of differentiation constantly here. How do we stand out? How do we make sure that we're not lost in the noise of everything else? And we have a pretty irreverent voice. For those who look at our website or our marketing, there's some things there are pretty edgy, and we're very proud of that. We tell marketing, you know what, we should get a complaint or two from our marketing. We don't we don't want everybody to agree with who we are, and we don't need to do that. Our fans are super loyal, and we don't need everyone. So my best piece of advice to new franchisees is trust the franchisor. I mean, you wouldn't have become part of a franchise system if you didn't agree with their marketing tactics or their voice or their messaging or their branding. So now that you have, trust that they know how to spend the money, and trust in how much they tell you to spend, because we don't want you to spend more than you need to. We want you to be profitable. But the very first thing out of the gate is you've got to build your business. I hate to say this, but profitability is secondary straight out of the gate. You've got to build your customer base, and then the profitability will come.
And I think it was Steve Jobs that said that for years,
I'm sure he stole it from me.
Yeah, I think he did. I read that somewhere, Michael. So let's talk about, all these people listening that are thinking themselves, I don't know what business I should do. I don't even know what industry I should do. I should probably do something myself. Maybe a franchise is right for me. Michael, with all your experience, all these years talking to people, prospective franchisees, candidates, as we typically call them, what advice do you have for those listening as to how do they know? I mean, obviously it all starts with what their investment level is, what level of ownership they're going to take. Are they going to run this thing full time? They're going to hire a manager. But what's your advice for somebody listening?
I see this advice to do what you're passionate about. You know what? I've never been passionate about smoothies, popcorn, or teriyaki.
I love it.
I'm passionate about helping people, whether it's franchisees or employees or customers, eat something that's delicious, that is healthier for them. I believe that the business that you choose, if you like customers, you're going to want something to be transactional. If you want to be a consultant, you want to really spend time helping people, then perhaps that's the business. If you like sales, then get into something that you're selling a whole lot of, and you're going out there and you're selling new business. If you like operations, then you need to focus on problem solving and building processes and systems and really focusing on execution. That's really my biggest piece of advice for folks building a business. Aside from what I've talked about, there's no question in my mind, and I've put over 1,000 people into business before in different businesses, is you've got to get ready to roll up your sleeves and work hard. It doesn't mean hours, although you will put in the hours. It doesn't mean you're going to be tired and your muscles going to be sore at the end of the day. Doesn't necessarily mean that. What it is this mind share. Good business owners think about their business all the time. They think about their employees. They think about marketing. They think about operations. They think about sales. And I could go on and on and on. Yeah. You don't need to want to do accounting. You don't need to be passionate about accounting. You can hire someone, but you need to have a pretty good idea of what that someone is doing. And that goes back to that hard work. But passion, it's great if you can be passionate about something. I'm passionate about building. I build businesses. It's really fun for me. And if I've achieved any modicum of success, that perhaps is why.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great advice. Now, so final thoughts for today. You've so much here, but so much great stuff you've shared. Final thoughts, final words of wisdom for the listeners today.
Well, obviously, I'm a pretty opinionated guy, but if you're looking for a franchise, the most important thing is to make sure that you really do a lot of research on their culture. What are their beliefs? What are their values? To make sure that you agree with the direction that the business is going, the way that the business is run, and dig into the community. Talk to franchisees. I know everyone says that, and I'm always a bit surprised at how few franchisees candidates talk to, but make sure that that cultural match is there and make sure that you'll fit into the community. Because I'll say it again, because it's so important. If you don't match the culture, you're not going to match the community. You're not going to have a whole lot of allies because you're going to disagree with a lot of them. And that is very painful. That's the piece you need to look at more than anything. A good franchisor won't be selling you anything, nor will the franchisees who are already in the system. Those franchisees want people who are like them to be part of the community, and they will invest the time to make sure that you're a good match, not only for you, but mostly for them.
Such great advice, Michael. Michael, thank you so much for being here, and look forward to watching your success and the madness continue across the country. Michael Haith, Teriyaki Madness.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you very much for listening today. Please like, follow, and subscribe. This is Lance Graulich. Until next time.